Hi, welcome to the Spiritual Connection Show. I'm your host, Katie Augustyn. So I'm a transformation coach, I'm an energy healer, I'm a shamanic practitioner. I'm also the spiritual head of the Transformation Center CT, which is located in Westport, Connecticut. And we do a variety of workshops, trainings. At the center, we have satsang once a month, usually on a Wednesday towards the end of the month. And that is Sanskrit for in the company of the truth. And it's just about an hour to be together, do some meditation, some talking. Usually we do some chanting. It's just a very rejuvenating time. We'd love to see you there. We also do some shamanic clinics every month, the second Tuesday of the month in the evening. And we do shamanic drumming and journeying once a month. So all of these are open to anybody who's interested. Just visit the website, transformationcenterct.com. So thank you for being here tonight. The Spiritual Connection Show is all about connection. It's about connecting more fully with our own spiritual selves, as well as connecting with each other. And as you know, I have different guests each week, and it's really an opportunity to learn from them about their spiritual journey, what they're up to, and what services they can offer to you. Because it's important for us to find what really feeds our soul, and everyone is different. So, come back often and watch the show. It's also on my YouTube channel, which is just my name, Katie Augustyn, and just check out what's available to help you on your journey. So thanks again for joining us. So my guest tonight is Edward Cleveland. Hi, Ed.
Hi, how are you?
Thanks for joining us tonight.
Thank you, Katie. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, it's so great because I'm really excited to have Ed because I met him about a couple of months ago, I think it was, through our mutual friend Christina Dufour, which we both love dearly, yes. And so she told me about you, and you came over to my house and we just talked, and I just got this real sense of like, oh my gosh, who you are and what you do is just so amazing, and I just wanted to share it with the world. So thank you for making the journey down from Hartford. I'm going to just read a little bit about you for our audience who hasn't met you, because Ed is very humble, and it's really hard to pull it out of him, but he has so much experience. So he's the founder and owner of the Ed Cleveland Reiki and Sound Therapy Training Center, which is located in Hartford. He is an advanced gong practitioner, a neuroacoustic sound practitioner, a master Reiki teacher, and holographic sound teacher. He is also a medicinal aromatherapist, as well as a national award-winning martial arts teacher. See what I mean? This is pretty amazing. So he's bringing forth 3 decades of personal education and experience in both his private practice and his teachings, because you do both.
Yes.
Yeah. So before we get started, and I always ask my guests the first question, tell me a little bit about your spiritual journey, how you started, anything you want to share. But before that, why don't you just share some of your beautiful sound, just to set the tone for the evening. Very nice. Thank you. I hope our audience could hear a little bit of that. Yeah, it's even better in person, trust me. So thank you. And why don't you start by telling us a little bit about your spiritual journey?
Well, it started as we all have ups and downs in lives and in our life. And during mine, I had gotten sole custody of my kids when they were 3 and 5. And there was a lot of things involved. And I went to a bookstore and I basically surrendered. I asked for help. I didn't know where to go. And I was doing a lot of self-help books, so I was reading on meditating and how to connect with spirit and stuff. and there was a book that was glowing, and it was a book on Reiki. So I held the book and I asked the question, and then I opened it up and it talked about an energy ball, and I was making energy balls in martial arts. So it immediately caught my attention. I bought the book, I read the book, and a week later I signed up for Reiki classes, and it was all in.
That's awesome. So you didn't waste any time. You just went full steam. Isn't that great how when that happens, when something really resonates with us, that it's there and that opportunity, and you can just take advantage of it? That's awesome.
And it kept rolling because after reading the book and I called, they were having class just happened to be next week. So I called to book an appointment, and they said that there's 3 different classes, and I said, well, the book says I have to wait time in between, and I didn't really have time because I was laid off, and and all these things were happening. And the woman at the counter said, well, the teacher just happens to be walking by. Would you like to talk to her? So I said, absolutely. And I told her the story, and she said, if life set you up for this, then you really should be here because it's ready for you. So again, I dove right in and took the whole week off and took the classes, and just had an amazing journey, which allowed all these other things to unfold, because now I fully trusted the instincts and asking for help, that when you ask, there will always be an answer if you quiet your mind enough to do so. So that started me off with meditations and shamanism and many other things.
Oh wow, that's awesome. So that's something that you would highly recommend to other people.
Absolutely.
To just be still and listen, or how would you describe it a little bit more?
Actually, I have people nowadays are seeking me out because they're having troubles, and in their own questions, whether they're having a dream that all of a sudden I came into the dream. That's happened about 20 times, where they were even maybe learning from someone else, like, I had a dream I was supposed to go see you, or they asked a question and they saw me pop up on a media site or something, or open a magazine, and there I was, and so they called me up and we started working, and again, the gifts just started flowing, and it's that following that synchronicity, because it's like, I like to say it's like putting a troubled thought on a leaf and let it float down the stream. You ask your question and you just quietly wait for the answer, and then once you're on that path, things will flow effortlessly, and that's when you're doing the right thing.
Right, especially if you put your intention in it, and you're open to whatever comes. There's all of that. That's great. That's a perfect example. I mean, that your life has really been changed because of this, right?
And that metaphor of the leaf has also helped out people, because I had a person say that they went through years of different things, and that one notion of putting a leaf, like, it was amazing. It had a traumatic effect just in that one moment. So it's very humbling to notice that things will just pop in and flow through. So
yeah, it's wonderful that you're able to share what you've learned with the rest of the world too. Yeah, so you stuck with the Reiki for a while, and you're still practicing and teaching it?
Practicing and teaching it. You can never learn enough, and there's always more to learn. I'm working now with different breathing techniques for the Reiki, which helps not only quiet the mind, but they state that 75% of ailments come from the brain, from overthinking. So on doing the meditations on quieting the mind and doing this breathing through these 3 different channels, it helps to clear the path, oxygenate your brain, and it's said to be done first thing in the morning, so it kind of helps to clear yourself before these different poisons come in that we all have, like anger, jealousy, pride, delusion, things like that, to do the exercise to have the winds clear out your 5 organs and help your brain oxygenate it, so now you can have a good day because now you're focused.
Right, so you get off to a good start every day. Yeah, I think that's great, because in the morning our mind is not taken over yet. We're still in that state, between dreaming and waking. I forget which state that is, but anyway, you know what I mean.
Yeah.
And I find that in the morning it's really helpful to just be before anything else comes in.
Before you pick up that phone.
Yeah, yes, and I read somewhere exactly that as soon as you actually look at your phone, that disrupts everything. It disrupts all of this helpful stuff that's been happening in our brains while we're sleeping, because it is cleansing, it's rejuvenating, all of those things. And then as soon as you look at that screen, it's gone.
You feel like there's something you have to do. Yeah. Breathing exercises, it's only takes a couple minutes, but I've been doing it a few more repetitions, so it takes about 8 minutes.
Okay.
So I know I'm going to take that 8 minutes first thing in the morning, and then I'll do what I need to do. So
oh, nice. So is this an easy process for
Yes.
people to learn?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's not something that you could give us a short demonstration, or not really, because it's 8 minutes.
It's called a 9 purification breath.
Okay.
It works with 3 different channels. It's similar to alternating nostril breathing, which then amplifies the opposite hemisphere of the brain.
Connects your brain better.
So you actually you inhale on the side, but you inhale visualizing it going around your ear and then down the channel, and then switching underneath the navel to the other side, and then you switch and you exhale for 3 breaths, anything that you may be having held with anger. And then you switch to the other side and you do that 3 times, same process, but every time you exhale, you're exhaling any bile or sickness or disease that may be in your body.
Okay.
And then the third one is inhaling both nostrils and having it go down the central tube and coming up and visualizing your crown is like a funnel. And even though you're exhaling out your nose, you're also thinking you're exhaling out your crown.
Okay.
So it helps open up that channel, and that would be for attachments and delusion.
Oh, wow.
So it's a very wonderful experience, and it's also the opposite of how Reiki works, because Reiki comes in through the funnel, it comes down and it comes up the channels and it goes out the hands. So when I learned that all these intricate parts actually work together as a lifestyle practice of Reiki, so that's something I encourage people to do every day.
Yeah, to do on their own.
Yeah.
That's excellent. So if people wanted to just, is there anything on your website about this, or just Google?
It's in all my, each one of my classes, I introduce it for each level, and each level we practice it a little bit more. I'll add in a couple of other things. There's things about making mudras, mantras, or the kodadama of Reiki, different sounds and syllables. And I even have some Japanese bowls that I work with, sort of connecting the Japanese with the kodadama. And it's a very unique process, and not a lot of people have done that because they haven't learned it that way, which is fine, because everyone learns their own way, and we never know how much we don't know until we learn something new.
How about that? We don't know what we don't know. I love that. So you've kind of combined a few different things, and usually they're kept separate. Is that kind of how it?
Yeah, I introduce a little bit more each level, and I open it up to other people that already had training, so they can come back and get as a review and a refresher. But that's also what I've been finding. Most of the troubles that people have is that they feel like they're losing their energy, or they can't maintain their energy, or they can't protect it, or different, there are all these different feelings and emotions. And another part of that is doing exercises which amplifies your energy field. I could call it like a whitewashing of the field. So you're establishing your auric field, you're building a communication with you in your field to again do this work, and then you can feel when outside sources are coming in that you may have to pay attention to, which actually was originally my training with martial arts, because we want to know if somebody was mad enough to want to hit us to be able to defend ourselves first. So it really fell into place really nice. And then as far as going into more of the advanced Reiki, when sending out distance Reiki, do some of the same principles, but when you're sending it out, you're making sure that the energy now goes outside your auric field, because it wasn't for you, it was for another place. So really establishing, this is my field, this is what's going on. You can amplify it, you can just keep it tight and protect yourself with it, and just strengthen it. And
Yeah.
it's a daily practice.
Right, and it's something that you can be in charge of your own,
Yeah.
Which is so empowering.
Yeah.
It's through our intention, even though it's not really us when we're doing the healing. We're a conduit, but it's still. I mean, I don't know about you, but whenever I do a healing, I feel like I got a healing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's pretty common, right?
Because that's going through.
Yeah.
And one of the other things with the practice is sometimes people feel like they're being drained during the practice. So in knowing how to manage your field, again, you're also working with your own brain, because while you're working, your brain doesn't shut off. So if I give you or give the person different mantras or different things to say in their mind, which is adding healing energy to it, then your thoughts are really focused on your client, so they're getting 100% of your attention and your mental capabilities, because you are totally fully there doing mantra, doing breath, working, listening, feeling, and doing everything that they need. Because like you said, it's if the mind starts working, we may try to do something, and that's where we could be giving our energy away. Because I'm trying to help this person, I have compassion, I want to help them. And sometimes there's a cord, and sometimes you can actually be pulled into a person doing Reiki, and that's them, whether knowingly or unknowingly, it just feels good, so it may start to pull on you. So really understanding that field and knowing when to, all right, and let me break that connection, and come in on my terms.
Start over and just
and begin a different way.
That's a really nice way of describing that, because it can be an issue with healers. So is most of your the work, I would love for you to come to the Transformation Center and do a workshop for everybody down here in Fairfield County. And if someone is not a Reiki practitioner or any kind of practitioner, I want it to be beneficial, because personally I think that when we take trainings, even if we don't practice what we learned on other people, it's still a healing, it's still beneficial for us. I mean, for me, that has been really the case. So I'm wondering, what about that?
The whole exercise with the breathing and the amplifying your field is not connected to any certain modality. It does originate from a very old modality that's gone back thousands of years, so it's already been proven to work. So it's perfect, it can fit in with everything. I like to say it all falls into the same umbrella. So depending on how you look at it, it's different spices you're putting in your own soup mix or spaghetti sauce.
So you could create something that involves the breathing. Maybe you could do some of the sound healing, which we're going to talk about in a minute. Yeah, okay, good.
Even toning, just simply going through the do, re, mi, fa, so. If you're exhaling that low sound, and each breath you go up a little bit higher, and you don't need musical experience. Just know that you're starting off at a low sound and you're going up a sound. Just make sure you don't go too high too fast, because then you run out of room. Or you change the sound from different vowels, because like an E could be a higher sound, where you may start with a hum or om or just to get out the stuff.
All right, that sounds great. So to shift gears a little bit, so you started with the martial arts. And then you got into the Reiki, and you're still doing the Reiki, and then you added on
the holographic sound, which is using vowel sounds for healing, going back to Egyptian times. So that again falls into the toning part.
So that's what you were describing.
I also use that with helping kids. I'll play bowls, and I like to say kids of all learning abilities. Because they're so very smart, and everyone has their own intelligence in the way they think about things. But the toning part also helps work with the speech, to be able to speak clearly, or even work speech therapy. So working vowel sounds like an A with an overtone turns into an E. So like A, and then this one breath
You've
can
got
go
all of them.
through.
Got all the vowels.
So I'll have that eye contact, and they'll be watching, and we'll do this together. And I see them, working their speech to get that vowel, and then I'll start to change it up so it doesn't have a set flow. And I always kind of finish off with and I love you. And I say, and then go tell your mom or your dad. So they run out of the room and, big smiles.
Yeah.
And,
That's wonderful. So that's a good place to start with the young ones so they can have
and
that.
they love the sounds of the bowls, and that's also helping them breathe, because kids unfortunately get picked on. And sometimes the only safe places in your room are with people that you know, so it can be, a place that brings up nerves. And it's an epidemic worldwide with the anxiety and depression. So anything that you can do that automatically can help open the relaxation response system, get them out of the left brain into the right brain of feeling, the vagus nerve and everything. However, kids are in the right brain to begin with, because they just want to have fun. And then when they start going to school, then they have to start strategizing. So that's when the left brain comes in. So that's why it's good to start introducing things to let them remember, because as adults, most of my job, I find, is getting a person out of that left brain into the right brain. I want you to feel and listen, and have conscious awareness of what is happening with this sound or the feeling in your body, and letting things just kind of purge out with your breath. You let that, let out the steam.
Yeah, no, I agree. That is a challenge to get I have that challenge still, getting out of my left brain to my right brain, and just having that, I think it starts with awareness, that this is possible. I've met a lot of people who don't even know that this is possible.
Yeah. So when that's taught, you're helping to give them a skill that, now that you know how it feels and that you can do these things, because you always have your breath, anytime something starts bothering you, take a few moments. You maybe go to a quiet place, or nature, or go to the bathroom, and take a few breaths and remember how it felt to feel calm and peaceful, and watch that anxiety or that depression stuff go away.
Yeah, it just dissipates. Yeah, and I think that's the key, is to give them that initial experience that they can replicate.
Yeah.
So it's not about, like, when we, the group, everybody that's in this field, when we have workshops and trainings, it's not about teaching and talking, that's really not what we do. It's about feeling and experiencing and being there for yourself, and I tell everybody, this is great that you're coming to me for healing or whatever, but my goal is for you to be able to do it, to get there, because we all have that wherewithal within ourselves to heal ourselves. Our bodies and our spirit.
And that was the same process of martial arts training, because we're not teaching people or kids how to fight. We're teaching them how to stand up, to be more confident, be aware of your surroundings, and don't go into a situation where you can see, I may get picked on over there, so I'm going to stay over here. And that kind of helps keep bullies away, because bullies want an easy target. So teaching martial arts, again, wasn't about how to fight, it was about how to defend yourself, but mainly to also strengthen your own mental discipline to not get mad, because when you learn that a punch hurts, you can hurt another person, that there's responsibility between that, and that it's easier to forgive than to lash out with anger.
Yeah, no, that's a really good point. Yeah, and that ability to not react, to be more in at choice. That's awesome.
I like to use a saying, no one can hurt your feelings without your permission.
That's perfect.
I could say you're wearing a green shirt.
Perfect.
And if I say it enough, is there green? Well, there's green in my necklace. So
you start to doubt yourself.
You start to doubt, self-doubt. So no, if it's not true, it's not true, and it's just a word. 'Cause inside, I know,
I'm okay.
And it doesn't matter what. Or if you say something to another person and you had the right intentions and they took it the wrong way and say, you offended me, like, well, wait a minute, I didn't offend you, you offended you because
Yeah.
my word was to empower you, but you heard it and took it as a disempowering thing, and now it's a problem. But that wasn't
You're
where
right.
my intentions, So those also teaching resolution of conflict.
To be on the same page and it's not about making the other person wrong, because that happens, quite a bit in our society. I think being right seems to have taken on this huge importance, that in people's minds, that being right is important for some reason, I used to think that. I was brought up that way.
Sometimes that comes up, and we were brought up, some of us, the law of the jungle, only the strong survive, but the lion doesn't go after the strongest gazelle, it goes after the weakest. So instead of, only the strongest survive, you got to be the best in sports and have the best grades and all of this stuff, and reverse it and say, as long as you're not the weakest, we're going to be fine. So together we can all grow. We can help your neighbor because we're all in this together.
Right, and just being yourself, your authentic self.
Yeah.
So I want to talk a little bit about the sound healing, because we're starting to run out of time already, believe it or not. So you have so many options. I know if you go on your website, it's incredible, and you shared a lot with me. What? How does it work? I mean, what does it do?
Well, sounds. You're really trying to go into sounds that can make natural sounds, because that's what actually feeds and nourishes your organs. So it's not synthesized, it's not electronic. And the instruments are made with 5 elements, and the work that I'm doing, one of the explanations was most ailments, disease come from a lack of or too much of one of the 5 elements. Space, wind, fire, water, and earth. The system I'm working on, there's another system that uses metal instead of space. So these are made with the 5 elements, and inside is the space. And when you're playing them and you're having a person focus, you're actually having them create space in the brain to hear what the sounds are doing, to then also open up conscious listening to notice the different sounds that are happening, how the sound wobbles or throbs or pulsates. When I'm teaching people about how to look for a good quality bowl to make a wise choice, you want something that has a lot of different harmonics. You want male and female voices to come through, which I have a couple of different mallets to make those different sounds. So you first look for the male sounds in a bowl, and there'll be a couple of them, and then you look for the higher sounds, which would be a female, and then see how sometimes the male voices will descend or ascend, and same thing with the female. And as you're learning the bowl and every place has a different sound, you're now creating this thing, but you're really retuning yourself how to hear different. And most people don't listen too much. They're waiting to talk and say what they want, and so it's good to listen.
That's awesome. Yeah, so I think we're going to have to wrap up. Is there anything else you'd like to share before we do that, or maybe play one more of your, just kind of quickly? Okay.
That's more of a male sound.
Oh, interesting.
The high ringing is the female sound. So a suede mallet will bring more of a male rumbling sound. A wooden mallet will bring more of a female sound. And then choosing different mallets, because mallets you don't want to hear the mallet, you want to hear the bowl.
They do different things. Well, thank you so much for being on the show, Ed. This was awesome.
Thank you.
And thanks to our viewers for coming and watching Ed Cleveland. I hope you check him out online. I'm your host, signing off, Katie Augustyn. Thanks again, and blessings. Good night.